Riley, you ever love someone so much you'd ruin your own life to save theirs? 2 weeks ago I was sitting in an interrogation room staring at a detective who had already decided I was guilty. He slid a folder across the table. And can you explain what you were doing in these photos? I opened it and saw photograph after photograph of me walking out of grocery stores with bags I hadn't paid for. Blake, it wasn't me. It was my twin sister, Terry. We have 6 weeks of footage from 4 locations of you stealing baby formula, diapers, and children's clothing worth thousands of dollars. Dakota looking at a felony, he said. I told him this is a mistake. I've never been to any of these stores and I don't even have children. He laughed and said the cameras don't lie. Dakota have to believe me. I have an identical twin sister. He leaned forward with this disgusted look and said, that's the most pathetic excuse I've heard of doing this job. So come up with something better before I personally make sure you get the maximum sentence. I spent the next 3 days tracking down my sister Terry, who I hadn't spoken to in 4 years after she chose her deadbeat husband over our family. Casey, I knocked on her door. She answered looking like a ghost of the person I used to know. She was 30 pounds lighter with dark circles under her eyes, and she tried to slam the door but I shoved my way inside and started screaming at her. I just spent 6 hours in an interrogation room because of you. I'm looking at felony charges and actual prison time because you decided to become a thief. Terry looked ashamed but didn't interrupt me. Morgan kind of person steals baby formula when they don't even have a baby? I asked. Taylor, you selling it for cash to fund a drinking problem or a pill habit? Terry just stood there taking it with tears streaming down her face without saying a word. Dakota destroyed my life. Dakota need to confess so I don't spend the next time rotting in a cell because of your stupid actions, I yelled. That's when I heard a small voice from the hallway ask, Alex, why is the lady yelling at you? I turned around and saw 2 little kids standing in a doorway clutching stuffed animals. And behind them I could see a bare mattress on the floor in an apartment with no furniture except a plastic table and folding chairs. Terry started sobbing. My husband disappeared 8 months ago after draining our bank account and maxing out credit cards in my name. My job because I couldn't afford child care. I was done talking. I started stealing when my daughter got sick and I couldn't afford medicine. If you turn me in they'll end up in foster care. They don't have anybody else. Her little girl walked over and tugged on my sleeve and asked, are you the auntie from Mommy's pictures? And every ounce of rage I had just vanished because I didn't even know these children existed. I stood in front of the judge 3 weeks later with my lawyer beside me and my parents in the courtroom. The detective showed the footage and said, Your Honor, as you can clearly see the defendant's face is visible in every single piece of footage from 4 different stores over 6 weeks. My lawyer leaned over and whispered, this is your last chance to tell the judge about your sister. We can't let the court sort out which one of you is guilty. I looked over my shoulder and saw Terry sitting in the back row with her kids on either side of her, and her daughter gave me a little wave because she still thought I was the nice auntie from the pictures. The judge looked down at me and asked, how does the defendant plead? And the entire courtroom went silent. I thought about those kids growing up without either of their parents because their father abandoned them and their mother went to prison, and I thought about my niece asking why the nice lady wasn't coming to visit anymore. I turned back to the judge and said, guilty, Sam Honor, and I heard my mother burst into tears behind me. The judge opened his mouth to respond, but then his eyes drifted to the back of the courtroom.